the staff of Demerara Bank, the board, the leadership. I want to congratulate all of you for just another enormous achievement. I also want to recognize, of course, the region number 4 chairperson who is here with us. I want to say that all of this success is built on innovation. And I have to say the board must be congratulated for allowing innovation, creativity, and bold thinking to be part of your menu or your formula for success. And what we see here today is not only success for Demerara Bank, but success for our country. The expansion that is taking place in our financial sector is not by accident. It is by the type of policies that the government is pursuing. It is about a government that is creating an enabling environment for development and advancement. Just imagine, on the East Coast alone, tens of thousands of new house lots, hundreds of new commercial buildings, an entire new manufacturing and industrial zone that will be developed in Enmore. All of the housing, the new facilities, including hotels and new malls, all of that requires financial services. And Dr. Singh and the cabinet has also been very aggressive in their work. And I want to thank Dr. Ashley Singh and his team for their stewardship at the Ministry of Finance in implementing the policies. It's one thing to have the policies and ideas. The other important aspect is about implementing it. And they have the task of implementing this. You know, in the last 9 months alone, electronically, this bank has been able to process more than 50,000 new accounts. More than 50,000 new accounts electronically. In the last six months, electronically, they would have conducted more than $50 billion of transaction electronically in the last 6 months. Those are remarkable numbers. You know, the simplistic mind, or sometimes not even simplistic, it borders on humorous minds. I saw one person with a Facebook post. The bank should not charge us $50, 50 Guyana dollar on the $100,000 cash grant. Now, I wish, yes, I support the bank as much as possible, should not charge these fees. But let us look at the reality. You no longer have to spend maybe $1,000 in taxi fee to go to the bank to deposit the check. You don't have to lose maybe 2 hours of productive time to go to the bank. 2 hours of productive time, $1,000 saving in taxi fee, and you do it from the comfort of your home. You now receive this check in your account. Now, what kind of rocket scientist you need to understand that the benefits are enormous? And you know, the sad part of this is that these are people who present themselves, Edgel, as people who want to lead and be in charge of policy making. My God. You know, I just hope and pray that the people of our country understand the levels that we're dealing with, you know. And it is not, I want to say that this bank, when you look at the lending portfolio, they have really embraced the policy framework of the country. They're lending to agriculture, to manufacturing, to agro-processing. All of these are areas that we're concentrating our efforts in a diversification of the economy and the creation of a wide portfolio of wealth for our country. And in the next 6 months, I've advised the governor of the central bank that we must be in a position that a national payment platform must be fully operational, and we must have access to digital wallets at a national level and at a national scale. I know in Demerara Bank case, maybe in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you will be launching your own digital wallets for your customers. And the digital wallet is an electronic wallet where you can make payments through your phone. You can make, and we have to now create that whole infrastructure where the cashiers and the cash registers in the supermarkets and other areas are now equipped with the technology to accept payments by the swiping of your phone, because that is where we are going and that is where the country is heading. So I don't know about the feature speech today because you have heard a lot from Daulat, from Ashney, and from the chairman of the board. But I want to say that we must not take for granted this era of development. You know, while some people have the opportunity to, you know, be social media kings and queens and princess and prince, we have the responsibility of actually doing meaningful work and working hard to find meaningful solution. And one of the things that would have attracted me in the last couple of days is the, the diversification of risk and the building out of strategic reserve. The war in the Middle East and the closing of the Strait of Hormuz has given us an important piece of history lesson. You have a situation now where marine transportation, global insurance, movement of food, movement of fertilizer, movement of petrochemicals, all of these things can come to an almost instant halt. Right now, most countries are operating from strategic reserves. They're operating from product that they would have had in their reserve over the last 4 months. If the Strait of Hormuz continue to be closed for the next 3-4 weeks, we are in a global crisis. We are in a global crisis. And what do you do as a leader? We are already talking to different stakeholders as to how we can navigate through this crisis. I don't have the luxury of sleeping through crisis. We have to work on finding strategic ways of navigating through this crisis. And one of the things I want to present to the Middle East is, listen, guys, you guys have great infrastructure, but now is the time for you to evaluate whether it is necessary to build out strategic infrastructure in other parts of the world. Imagine if Guyana had a strategic storage facility that had maybe 6 to 9 or 12 months reserve for this part, for the Western Hemisphere, where that would have positioned us today. If we had a strategic storage for fertilizer, and that is where our thinking is. It's not in this everyday nonsense battle for, against all kind of stakeholders whose only interest is negativity. I don't have the time and space on my agenda for that. And I want to present Guyana as that location, that geographic location that can be a strategic storage, that can be a strategic location for the countries in the Gulf. It's important for them, it's important for us. And why Guyana? Our geographic location, our access to the Atlantic, our access to large markets in Brazil, and the trade arrangements we have within our region, but importantly, our ability also to add our natural assets, which includes gold, include crude oil, natural gas, as part of that portfolio in building out a strategic geo-positioning for this entire industry. And that's an opportunity that this conflict has brought to bear, an opportunity that we must pursue, that we have to pursue. And we're going to pursue that opportunity already. I have asked my staff to begin the engagement at the technical level, because this is where we have to be. 5 years ago when we came into office, and I was talking about the refinery, there was all kind of comments about the refinery. Where are we today? Imagine if we had that refinery. Imagine if we have the crude oil. We don't have the refinery. Imagine if we had that refinery and we could have been sufficient nationally, where that would have positioned us today. The exposure, the risk. So a lot of times, you have to Be aggressive, bold in decision making. Policy making is just like a private sector operation. You have to be innovative and bold. You have to be ever present. You have to be looking for opportunity. You have to be engaging with opportunity. That is the only way we can build a country that is really positioning itself to be a world-class leader, a world champion in everything we do. And we're going to do it. You're going to see how we're going to achieve it. In a couple of weeks, or maybe a month from now, we'll be exporting for the first time soya from our shores. DDL, diversifying into $30 million facility, dairy facility. Launching a program, 5,000 acres of cocoa, coffee, large-scale mango cultivation. We just completed a pilot in Region 9 for onion. Going to move into large-scale production of onion. We started a program with Brazil and talking to Saudi Arabia on building out of the livestock industry. In another couple of months, we'll almost double the livestock that we have in the country through very bold initiatives. And that is what is going to set the stage for the larger, more aggressive opportunities that are ahead of us. So my friends, we are in exciting times. There is much for the banking sector to smile about. And not just because of jokes, and not just because of profitability, but because the reality is that our banking sector is strong, profitable, and growing. And this is one of the reasons why I'm pleased to join the Demerara Bank family in commissioning this new branch of the bank. I once again congratulate the directors, management, and staff of Demerara Bank on this latest investment. The bank has been expanding its presence here in Demerara, Mahaika, and this is a sign of its responsiveness to the needs of our people for the provision of a more accessible financial services. The opening of this branch is also a sign of expansion, a sign of confidence, and a sign that the future of banking in Guyana is bright. Whilst we move to a digital world, I urge the directors and management to examine the possibility of putting in the branch a skills development and financial management classroom where small and medium-sized enterprises can benefit from training, can benefit from financial service enhancement, can benefit from coaching right here at this branch. Because part of your responsibility is to continue to educate and help the small businesses and medium-sized businesses to become adaptable in this new environment that they would have to operate in. Today, our commercial banks are recording healthy profits. That is not by accident. Banks make much of their income from interest earned on loans and credit. And when we look at what has been happening over the past 5 years, we see a remarkable story. Private sector credit has increased by almost 120%, as the Minister of Finance would have alluded to. These are not just numbers. These are signs of an economy that is alive, expanding, and creating opportunities. But we must also understand what is driving this growth. It is not primarily businesses borrowing more. A large part of this expansion has come from mortgages. Mortgage lending increased from $90.6 billion in 2020 to $185.4 billion in 2025. That is linked to the home ownership story. That is linked to the housing story. That is linked to the expansion and creation of individual and family wealth across our country. The average age of home ownership in Guyana is at its lowest ever in the history and among the lowest in the Caribbean and Latin America region, if not the lowest. What does that mean? It means more Guyanese families are building, investing. It means more people are investing in their future. It means that development is not just happening in statistics. It is happening in towns, villages, communities, and households across the country. Yet, even with this strong growth, there is still much room for expansion. Our banking system remains very liquid. In simple terms, there is still a lot of money sitting in the system that is not yet fully used for productive lending. That presents an opportunity. It means there is still space for more businesses and citizens to access credit. It means there is still room for more investment, more entrepreneurship, and more innovation. And our commercial banks are rising to meet this challenge. The opening of this branch today is clear evidence of that. Demerara Bank has recognized that Guyana is changing. Our economy is growing. Our communities are expanding. And our people need greater access to financial service. This new branch here aligns perfectly with the government's vision of promoting greater financial inclusion. Financial inclusion simply means that more people have access to banking services. It means that people can open accounts, save money, borrow responsibly, and participate fully in the economy. Bringing banking service closer to the people is one of the most effective ways of achieving this. And this is exactly what is happening here today. The benefits of this branch are clear. Residents of this part of the East Coast no longer have to travel to Georgetown for basic banking services. They now have access right here in their community. And not far away, they also have the Republic Bank. This growing presence of financial institutions in the area reflects that rapid development, the fact that rapid development is taking place along the East Coast corridor. But as we celebrate this physical expansion of banking, we must also recognize that banking itself is changing. There was a time when banking meant standing in long lines. People would go into a branch to deposit money, withdraw cash, or pay bills. The bank was a place you had to visit. The model is changing. That model is changing. The future of banking is digital. The future of banking is online banking. The future of banking is cashless transactions. We are moving towards a time when fewer people will need to come into a branch for routine transactions. Deposits, transfers, and bill payments. These will increasingly be done electronically. The long lines at the ATM will become shorter. The need to carry large amounts of cash will diminish, and we will build a more modern, efficient, secure financial system. We would like to see more transactions being done through digital means, payments by debit card, transfers through mobile banking, online purchases, and electronic payments. Why is this important? Because a cash-based economy carries risk. Cash can be lost, it can be stolen, it is harder to track, and it limits efficiency. A digital financial system, on the other hand, is faster, safer, and more transparent. Of course, we recognize that not everyone will welcome this change. There will be some who prefer to continue operating in cash. There will be those who are uncomfortable with digital systems, and there will be those who resist change for their own reasons. But we must be clear. We cannot become globally competitive if our economy remains dominated by cash transactions. We cannot fully integrate into the global marketplace if we do not modernize our financial systems. That is why the government is committed to building a financial ecosystem that will gradually move us towards the reliance on technology and electronic means of settling accounts. This does not mean abandoning cash overnight. It means creating options. It means building systems. It means encouraging adoption over time. One of the ways we are doing this is by using the existing banking system to deliver public payments. Instead of creating entirely new digital accounts for every citizen, we have chosen a more practical and efficient approach. We are using bank accounts to deliver old age pensions, NIS benefits, salaries of government workers, payment of utility bills, and now the cash grant. This approach is cheaper, it is more orderly, and it is more convenient for citizens. It also strengthens financial inclusion because when people receive payments through the banking system, they become part of that system. They are more likely to save, to transact, and to access other financial services. We recognize, however, the challenge remains. There are parts of our country where banking services are still limited or absent. There are communities in the hinterland and remote areas where access is difficult. But we are addressing this. We're expanding broadband infrastructure. We are improving connectivity. And we believe that even in the most remote areas, digital banking can be a reality. Let us imagine what that future will look like. Imagine going to the market and paying for your goods with your phone or your bank card. No need to count cash, no need to worry about change. Imagine small businesses accepting electronic payments easily and securely. Imagine farmers receiving payments directly into their accounts. Imagine a young entrepreneur applying for a loan online and receiving approval without ever stepping into a branch. Imagine managing your entire financial life from savings to investment through a secure mobile app. This is the future of banking, and that future is not far away. But it will require partnership. It will require collaboration between government and the banking sector. We invite our banks, including the Demerara Bank, to work with us to build this modern financial ecosystem. We must invest in technology. We must improve digital platforms. We must educate our citizens. We must invest greater in financial literacy. Because believe it or not, there are some persons who still struggle with using the ATM. And we must ensure that no one is left behind. Whether we like it or not, this is the direction in which the world is moving. This is the future of banking. And as Guyana transforms, our banking sector must transform with it. But as we speak about the future of banking and the transformation of the financial sector, we must also ask a simple and practical question. Who must benefit from this change? The answer is clear. The evolution of our banking system must not only serve large corporations or established clients, but must also reach the small entrepreneur, the startup businesses, and the ordinary citizen with ambition and ideas. It is in this context that I wish to address the issue of small businesses. One of the long-standing barriers to the development of small businesses in Guyana has been access to capital. Many aspiring entrepreneurs have good ideas, energy, and a willingness to work hard, but they often lack the financial resources to get started or to expand. Government understands that commercial banks and other financial institutions must protect their deposits and ensure the loans are properly secured. That is your responsibility. However, in many instances, small businesses are unable to meet the rigid collateral and documentation requirement needed to access even modest loans. As a result, many viable business ideas never move forward. It is for this reason that the government has decided to step in and provided targeted support to this important segment of our population. Recognize that small business play a critical role in sustaining economic growth and generating employment. In this year's budget, we have set aside $100 million to establish an interest-free facility that will provide seed capital for a bank that will support small and medium-scale enterprise, including those that may have encountered difficulties in securing credit from the traditional financial institution. This initiative is designed to unlock potential, empower entrepreneurs, and give more Guyanese a fair chance to participate in the country's economic transformation. We want this facility to unlock greater facilities from the commercial bank. That is why the Ghana Development Bank will work in partnership with the commercial bank. And you yourselves will become branches of the Ghana Development Bank. And you will be able to unlock larger scale opportunities. Now for the East Coast, as I'm here, let me be clear. We have to build a more orderly system of growth and development. We can't have hundreds of shops on the main public road. And what are we going to do? We're going to identify critical areas along the East Coast, East Bank, and all of Guyana, where we're going to build out little open plazas, where with food court, with proper facilities for the small businesses that are on the public road. And you will now have the Ghana Development Bank and the other commercial bank to help us to establish sites that are touristic, clean, sites that are safe, sites in which people find enjoyable to be part of what you're doing. So it is not about removing these facilities. That is short-term political win for the opportunistic souls that exist in our society. To go and create a whole balloon, a bubble about government removing people and taking away opportunities. That is nonsense. That is for the souls that live in small period of bubbles opportunistically. We are not concerned about that. We want to build an environment that is safe, secure, beautiful, clean, and humanistic for these businesses. And we're going to be building them all across the East Coast, all across the East Bank, in every single NDC. We're in the process of identifying sites that we're going to put these facilities in every single NDC. So you and your children can go off the public road in these beautiful plazas and buy ice cream for your children. Your grandparents can go and sit down and listen to some good soft music. We don't want that. On one hand, if somebody get hit in an accident next to one of the stands, the same opportunistic soul. Why the government have these stands out there? Everything is the government. Even the rain today is the government. And by the end of today, you'll see them making posts. Watch out for them. Watch out for the posts. They will not find one positive post about this beautiful investment today. Those are the opportunistic souls I speak of. Let me make it very clear that this intervention in the Guyana Development Bank is not intended to crowd out the private commercial banking sector. On the contrary, we fully support the banking sector and have been working closely with the commercial banks to create an environment in which interest rates on lending can decline. As we have already begun to see, what we are doing is giving a necessary boost to small-scale entrepreneurship. We are putting capital into the system. As these businesses grow, stabilize, and become more established, they will naturally seek larger financing for expansion. At that stage, they will become clients of the commercial banks, thereby creating new opportunities for lending and strengthening the overall financial system. So it is a win-win situation for small businesses and the commercial banks over the medium term. The initiatives being undertaken by the government and the expansion of financial services by commercial banks lay the groundwork for a more inclusive and digitally advanced banking sector. Today's opening represents the continued expansion of traditional banking services, but it also reminds us that the future lies in greater inclusion and digital transformation. So let us celebrate this moment. Let us welcome this new branch, and let us look ahead with confidence, because the future of banking in Guyana is about people, it's about access, it is about opportunity, and above all, it is about building a modern, inclusive, and dynamic economy for all our citizens. I say this without fear of contradiction. If we don't embrace in a bold manner the challenges that confront us globally, and the naysayers that exist locally, we will not be able to position this country in the lead position. And I'm not going to sit around and play second best as the president of this country. I have a job to position this country as the best. Thank you, and God bless you.